Good evening. I know you're going to be mad, and I know that you're going to be sad. I know you're going to be worried, very worried. Good evening, I'm Jane Sachs. And what you're about to see tonight is a slice of reality here in Columbus. There's something out there destroying lives, loved ones, children, entire neighborhoods changed forever. People scared to go out of their own homes. This is devastating. You may know what the drug crack is, maybe you use it or have tried it, or maybe you don't know anything about it at all. It's commonly called rock on the street. So take a look at what's catching so many Columbus people between a rock and a hard place. This is a rock, and this is a hard place. And this is a hard place. This too, a hard place. Even this is a hard place.
An addict. Who you call what, boy?
How come everybody has to get in his business?
What's putting all of these people in hard places like jail, the hospital, even in drug rehab? Your answer? Crack. It's a rock-like drug made of cocaine and soda and a liquid like ether. Mixed together and cooked, it rocks up, the user smokes it. It may look innocent enough to you, but its effects are devastating.
My heart would feel like it was in my throat. My legs and feet and hands would get numb. I couldn't catch my breath. And I loved it.
And others love it just as much. For users, it's a quick, intense high. And for dealers, it's fast money and lots of it.
Money, money, money! We rich, goddammit!
You heard it right from an indicted crack dealer's own home video. Part of a huge Detroit family drug ring. This tape seized as evidence.
Throw these ones away, man, since we got $500,000.
Well, I tell you what we can do. We can give it to the poor.
That's exactly what I say, too. We'll just donate those to the poor. As a matter of fact, we just ride down the street and get them ones away.
$30,000 a day, that's how much they were making. Now, how do they make it so big? A small piece of crack only sells for just about $10, some for $25 on the street. Well, it's because the high only lasts a little more than 10 minutes, so users buy over and over again. In Columbus, transactions done right in the open. Look at this, crack for money. In dealers hanging out on street corners asking almost any passerby if he or she is looking for crack. We think one even asked us. They sell out of buildings too, crack houses. About 2 years ago, dealers began setting up shop in abandoned homes. A couple hundred popping up all over Eastside Columbus, catching authorities by surprise.
We didn't realize either that what a big problem this was going to be. I mean, most cities don't until it's too late.
For police, it was time to move, and move quickly, using a SWAT team to bust into the places.
Police, search warrant!
Once inside and the place secured, this is what it looks like. Take a look at the bathroom. Before entering this particular apartment, SWAT tossed a concussion-like grenade through this window, meant to stun people inside.
It's a lot of destruction, but what it is, it's a real heavy concussion. I mean, just shocks the crap right out of you.
Which it did. These suspected suppliers making crack, about $3,000 worth right on the table. A weapon found on one guy, another hidden under a mattress in a child's room. You can see it's loaded. The hundreds of weapons and guns taken from crack houses so far show these dealers mean business, not only in the war against police, but against each other.
Most of the time, the heavy weapons that we encounter are designed for those turf battles amongst the drug dealers themselves.
And many of these battles between Detroit dealers and Jamaican dealers moving into Columbus to take over.
They're two rival factions. They're probably equal as far as abilities and skills. So you don't mix the two.
But they are mixing with Columbus people, teaching them new ways to guard against police, like hiding video cameras aimed at anyone approaching their crack house. And check out this arrangement. These are all actual pictures. If the dealer thinks you're a real buyer, he'll buzz you in. The door automatically opens for you. You go into an enclosed room shut off from the rest of the house. Another camera there just to make sure you're not a narc. Then the transaction is done right through this tiny hole. No faces on the inside ever seen, and what you also can't see are the likely barricades on the other side of the wall, put there to slow down SWAT in case of a raid.
Several months ago, the pattern was to barricade the doors and windows with plywood and heavy 2x4s, 2x6s in an effort to keep us out. But people found that we got through them anyway. All it did was slow us down a few seconds.
Now the pattern seen is attack dogs running loose. That's common nowadays, and almost always some sort of lookout.
Lookouts have walkie-talkies, hand signals. They're using younger kids on bicycles, skateboards, and that's one of the things they're trying to do, is to see us coming so they can alert the people inside.
Lookouts as young as 12 and 13. And let me add this, the only time Columbus SWAT has ever been fired on in a crack house raid was by a 14-year-old lookout who shot, missed, and then ran. Next time, he may not be as lucky.
A youngster can kill you with a firearm just as fast as a 35-year-old man. And if you hesitate because it's a youngster, then it may be him going home at night and you not.
And what's so scary? Police say more juveniles are becoming involved in crack. Dealers know minors won't get in as much trouble, so they attract the kids with money, paying them up to a few hundred a day. This is what one teen told me.
You get addicted to the money, and I'm quite sure once you get used to the money, you're not gonna want to go back to wearing Nikes or something like that. The old gym shoes that your mother buy you. You want to buy something that you like. You want no All-Stars.
Be like a rapper.
Yeah, and you like gold, you buy gold.
And wearing gold has become a status symbol. Look what's around this guy's neck. And now look what's around his wrists. You gotta wonder why. So I asked. Talked to a guy who says he's a crack dealer, 26 years old with 10 kids. Says street dealing is his thing. Convinced him to talk to me without showing his face.
26 and having 10 kids, look, for the moment, it's my break, But I realized the time had come for me to get on with the rest of my life and to make things, in a sense, better. For this moment, I'm going to be as irresponsible and uncaring as I possibly can be.
But he says selling crack on the streets is harder now than ever.
And in so many ways, you could say that, yeah, they are winning the war. Just know as far as the guys walking the street trying to make a little bit of money, it's harder on them. It's not as much drugs.
Columbus police are probably happy to hear that one, especially a narcotics task force assigned 6 months ago just to work crack. Since then, they've been raiding about 9 houses a week and picking up dealers off the streets. But they say busting suppliers is what's so hard.
This drug is not one person. I mean, it could be anybody. If you've got money, you can go down and buy cocaine. You can bring it back to Columbus and crack it up.
But they have gotten a few big suppliers. Take a look at this. 76 ounces of cocaine worth more than $200,000, probably on its way to be cooked into crack. And one person flying in 6 ounces of crack shaped from cookie molds as a disguise. Officials can pat themselves on the back for good work so far, but will their work ever be done? This narcotics sergeant says, no way.
I've got a pretty good feeling you will always have crack cocaine. Somebody will be cracking this stuff up just because of the drug.
Amazing, isn't it? Now that you know a little more about this dangerous drug, I bet you have a lot of questions. Take down these numbers because in just a few minutes you'll be able to call me here in the studio to get those questions answered. Tell your concerns, maybe give your own story or two. Here are the numbers. Call 821-9883 to call the studio. Or if you have questions but don't want to go on air, call 895-2800. We have experts standing by to answer your calls. Get your questions ready for the captain of the Columbus Narcotics Bureau and the lieutenant heading up Columbus SWAT. They'll both be with me in just a few minutes. But first, let me tell you what's ahead on tonight's show. You'll learn why people are dying from crack, and you'll hear from recovering addicts. They can tell you what it's like to hit rock bottom, so desperately hooked on this drug. Call and talk to them yourself. We'll be right back.
It's a highly seductive drug, much more seductive than anything, I believe, that's out there today. And it happens so fast that one minute you think, oh, this is great, and the next minute you're willing to do anything you can to get the drug.
We're talking about danger, violence, death in Columbus, the killer drug crack. We're going to open up the phone lines in just a few minutes. Let's all talk about this problem together. Here are the numbers to call if you want to talk to us in the studio. Call 821-9883. And if you have questions but you don't want to be heard over the air, call 895-2800. My first guest tonight, the captain of the Columbus Narcotics Bureau, Captain Frank Phillips, and Lieutenant Richard Morgan with SWAT. Now, after talking with you two and doing all this investigation, I know that you have declared a war on crack in Columbus. It's a war, isn't it, Captain?
Right. It's a war that we declared back in the first part of March. The chief of police was very concerned, the mayor, all the city officials, and we said at that time we would have to declare war on crack before it became entrenched in Columbus like it has in many other cities.
Now, Lieutenant Morgan, you have been on SWAT for a number of years, and or been on the force for a number of years, and involved in all sorts of different investigations and having to carry out some of those responsibilities. Have you ever seen anything like going into a crack house?
No, it's a unique experience, which has been somewhat exciting, but yet it's also, it gets to you, the fact that you have to do such a thing in the city that you live in.
We're going to go to our phone lines right now so we can take some calls for you. We want to all join in this conversation. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Yes, could you tell me what the police department's doing against the mob that's in this?
Can you repeat your question, please? What is the police department doing against?
Against the mob that's in this. They know that they're in it, but they don't do anything.
Okay, thanks for calling. The mob, Captain Phillips.
We have not uncovered the mob, so to speak. What we have found is that we have a lot of individual enterprising dealers. Some of them are loosely knit. We have found dealers that are in more than one crack house associated with them, but we have not found any type of mob activity.
Any certain group that you can attribute any of these activities to at all?
We have our local drug dealers that have been around for several years. We have some new local drug dealers. We have drug dealers that have came in from Detroit. We have some Jamaican nationals that we have arrested, and that's about it.
Now, you're dealing with a lot of danger, a lot of violence. Lieutenant Morgan, when your men go into these places, then they're up against machine guns, and they're up against weapons that police officers normally may not carry. I know SWAT is well equipped. It's amazing to me what you're up against.
Well, because we have the training to handle heavy arms, as well as the equipment, that's why the chief of police has requested that we do all the forced entries on crack houses. And it's a dangerous job, but we, because of our training, have been able to maintain an atmosphere of intimidation and the fear with the drug dealers that they know that if they have armed resistance against us, it will be costly to them, and that's why we've held the violence to a minimum.
Now, I said in the report earlier that the only time SWAT has been fired on in a crack house raid was by a 14-year-old lookout. You're seeing more lookouts, younger kids doing the work for these dealers.
That's correct. They try to use the kids against us because they feel they won't get as much through the court system and that we'll be less likely to fire on them. But it becomes a matter of protecting ourselves and others, and at this point we've been able to stop armed aggression, which there's been more than one attempt, but the actual firing of the weapon, there's only been one so far.
And I know that there's the possibility of the SWAT members getting hurt. I know one broke his ankle, and thank God that nothing else has happened. But people are telling me that that day is bound to happen, that someone's going to get killed on the force.
Well, the frequency of the number of raids that we're doing now makes the potential be a lot greater. With the younger individuals being involved, they get shook up a lot easier, and they're more likely to take a shot at you than someone who would a little more experienced. If they're high on drugs, they also might be more apt to take a shot at you.
Let's take another call. I have a caller here. Go ahead, you're on the air. What's your question, please?
Yeah, I'd like to know what the courts are handing as punishments for the crack dealers.
That's a good question. Thanks for calling. The courts, I know that they're being prosecuted under federal law more now than state law. Tell me about that, Captain Phillips.
Yes, we've had so far 9 people associated with crack that have either pled guilty or been found guilty in federal courts. They've gotten different sentences. 2 of them got a minimum of 9 years. They can get much more than that. It depends if it's their first conviction or second conviction. It depends on the amount of crack they have on them. It depends if they have a weapon on them. There are many variables. The bottom line is that in all of the cases, the federal penalties are much stiffer than what the current Ohio penalties are.
Now, 5 grams of crack is going to get someone 5 years in prison. Is that correct, under federal law?
Under federal law, if you have 5 grams of crack, you can get a minimum of 5 years. That is, with no previous conviction and no weapons conviction, you could get a minimum of 5 years, yes.
And state law is much softer?
Yes, state law is much different. Matter of fact, there is no state law that deals with crack itself.
Okay, so it deals with drugs in general, or
right,
cocaine.
it deals with cocaine, not cocaine-based crack.
So you're going tougher on these people, getting them out, taking them out of the crack houses. I know you've busted 140 crack houses so far?
143 crack houses, right, with about 293 people involved altogether. But the bottom line is we could arrest them in most instances for something, but we want to solve the problem. And to solve the problem, you can't do it if the people are going to not be put away in jail for a while. That is the bottom line.
You mean
You've got
business?
to have a deterrent, yes.
Like I said, it's a war, and being out there and investigating, I can tell it's a war. Ladies and gentlemen, we have only begun to talk about the crack problem here in Columbus. I guarantee you're going to get all your questions about this drug answered here tonight. Coming up, we'll be joined by a man who is very upset about all of this. He has seen firsthand the devastation this drug brings, but he's fighting back. Let him tell you how. And later in the show, you want to hear some amazing things. Talk to a recovering crack addict. I'm going to give you that chance. I think you'll be somewhat shocked at what you hear. You better believe we'll be right back.
It's a problem confusing police.
There has to be a reason why there aren't white crack houses. I mean, you don't have crack houses in Whitehall and Bexley and Upper Arlington. There has to be a reason for it.
Now, those are predominantly white areas of town, but authorities do know white people are certainly doing crack, and either they're being discreet when they sell it in their own neighborhoods, or they're going to mainly black areas of town to get it. But one thing is for sure, in lower income areas, crack is king, causing more problems to many who are already oppressed.
People who are already abused, who already have problems in their life, who are already struggling, or else, to be frank, they wouldn't be in public housing. So what happens is an already victim becomes even more victimized.
But who is making them victims? This man says it's the suppliers. And who are the suppliers? Police say they're working on that problem. But until they solve it, who will feel the crack problem? Mainly those in lower income areas.
It's out here every day, selling rocks every day. It's getting worse. Every day, projects is going to waste because of this crack dealing.
It's really rough.
How has that affected you?
Oh, I'm just concerned about the kids and my kids, really.
Who knows what crack is? Me. You got to wonder where those kids learned about crack, probably some from the classroom. But when I asked the same group how many had ever seen crack, just as many hands went up. Now I know this deeply concerns my next guest, Kahari Anohara with the Columbus Metropolitan Housing Authority, and we've been talking to Captain Frank Phillips with the Columbus Narcotics Bureau. Now your investigations are taking you to the lower income areas. Kahari, this is affecting all the lower income areas in town, and the Metropolitan Housing Authority serves these people.
Yeah, let me sort of say this about it. I think it's important for people to know I think there's an image going around the country that somehow black and poor people somehow the perpetuators of this drug. Black and poor people historically have never controlled the drug movement in this country. Black and poor people really are the victims of the drug movement in this country. And I think what tends to get lost in that shuffle somehow is that the people who control and produce and manufacture and make these drugs are the people who are really preying on people who really are helpless and victims in this situation.
You're talking about suppliers.
I'm talking about suppliers, distributors, producers. I'm talking about the major drug cartels on this planet, which really control the drug trade. And that's what needs to be focused on. What happens in the media image is that you see a whole bunch of black folks who basically are low income and poor people who it looks like they're the varmints who are keeping up all the stink, and that becomes the image. When in fact, these drugs came from somewhere else into those communities, and they're controlled somewhere else into those communities. The nickel and dime pushers are just that, nickel and dime pushers. They're the ones that wind up in prison and their lives destroyed. Already in most of those communities, a lot of people are there because their lives are destroyed in the first place. This only perpetuates it. What upsets me primarily is when I see a young generation of people being destroyed because someone else, or either on this side of the planet or another side of the planet, made a decision to move this drug into that community and to destroy and wipe out an entire community. And that's what we're trying to fight. But I think the key is we must focus on the people who chemically develop this drug, who produce it, and who develop the lines of distribution, not only in Columbus, but around the country and around the world. Once you cut that off, then I think you stand a good chance of at least putting in motion the proper rehabilitation that's necessary to correct the problem that already exists as a result of the involvement of these drugs.
And rehabilitation is a whole other issue. Let's talk about what you're saying, Captain Phillips. The nickel and dime pushers, besides going after the suppliers, what else can you do?
We go after the suppliers, we go after the people they're getting their drugs from, and you try and trace it up as high as you can do. That is not an easy task. If it was easy, we would have everybody, and it's not. But I think also we have to go after the demand side. The theory is, and I personally think that it's a good theory, that if people do not buy the drug, if there's no demand for the drug, then the suppliers are going to have drugs on their hands they can't do anything with. It's got to be more than just a one-pronged attack. It's got to be attacked from many areas. Let's go right to the phones.
Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, I want to know what we could do as concerned citizens to, help the authorities fight this, and also possibly if we ran across someone addicted to crack.
Okay, thank you, caller. What can citizens do? I know that you are asking citizens to please call the crack hotline. Kahar, you are trying to unite the people in these lower income areas and get them to call into the crack hotline.
Well, I think what we're trying to do is to unite anybody against this kind of deadly disease, and that's what we call it, because once it gets in your system, it functions like a disease and it completely demoralizes you. I think the whole idea is that people in general, people in high places, people in any place, have to join in this battle, and they have to join aggressively in this battle. We've developed in Lincoln Park, for example, a Lincoln Park Drug Task Force. That includes the police department, the sheriff's department, anybody that has anything to do with rehabilitation, social workers. We take a comprehensive approach. Not only do we just deal with the person who is using the drug, we also have to deal with the people who are distributing the drug and making it available. So I don't believe in a one-sided approach. It has to be a comprehensive approach. But what I'm saying is to victimize people who are already victims and proclaim to the world that these are the only users of this drug says to me that somebody decided to market this drug in those communities and create that image and to destroy that population specifically. And that's not an accident.
Now that it's here, you have to deal with it, and you're asking citizens to call in, and if they have any information on a crack house, if they know of a...
That's right. Any information on a crack house, a crack dealer, a crack supplier, automobile license numbers, whatever, names, addresses. We don't want a citizen to get personally involved because there could be a danger. But they can call in the crack hotline. It's anonymous. They do not have to leave their name, their phone number, anything if they don't want to. And
Give me that number, please.
Yes, it's 222-4850. That's right. And they can call it anytime, day or night. If the Narcotics Bureau is closed, which it usually is from 12 midnight until 7 a.m., we do have a tape recording that the people can leave any message they like.
Okay, please call. We're going to give that number out again at the end of the show, so anyone who wants it, we will be giving it again. Okay, thank you, gentlemen. You know, it's not only areas of town being affected by this dangerous drug, it's real people, it's you and it's me. Don't go away, because in just a minute you'll hear stories like you have never heard before. Ever talk to a convicted felon about his crack addiction? Ever talk to people who feel they'll never be safe again in their own homes? You won't want to miss this. We'll be right back.
That pipe is all evil, every bit of it. If you hit that pipe one time, you have begun to work for the devil.
I know that I'm not no real bad person, and I know that as a result of me getting involved with it, it caused me to do the things that I did do.
I don't feel safe here. You have to be on the watch at all times.
Welcome back. You know, so many of us take things for granted like safety. I feel safe here in the studio. You probably feel safe at home watching TV, but there are people out there tonight, even as we talk, who are deadly frightened. They don't feel safe in their own homes anymore. Imagine that being taken away from you. And as those people sit in their homes scared, there are others out there taking life for granted, putting crack in their pipes, not even thinking what they're doing could snap their lives away just like that. And there are others out there in Columbus tonight who are struggling to pick up the pieces of their lives after crack came and scattered those pieces all around. Many of those people are behind bars tonight. Take a look at this. People hurting others for the drug and others being hurt by it. Something terrible could happen to this woman. Imagine a crack dealer holding her at gunpoint, forcing her into a back room while crack is made and sold out of her own home. And imagine, if you will, a crack addict with no money and so hungry for the drug, he robs you, possibly killing you to get a few bucks out of your wallet. Or how about this? You or a loved one tries crack just once, something happens, instant death. You don't have to imagine too hard. These things are happening. Elderly are scared.
I sit on my front porch and I don't go no farther because I know what's out there at nighttime.
Crack addicts are committing crimes to get the drug.
You steal from anybody. You're going to do wrong to have it. That pipe is the devil's thing. It works strictly for the devil.
And people are dying from smoking crack.
Little 20-year-old girl that they were having a crack party, had a crack party all night, and she just sort of went to sleep. And when they tried to wake her up the next morning, when we got there, she was not only just dead, she was cold and dead. So she had been dead for a while.
Why are people dying from this drug? Let's talk about that first. Crack speeds up the heart, so much so doctors describe its effects like this.
And you have the sensation that your heart's going to pop out of your chest and you feel like you could be having a heart attack.
And it not only affects the heart, it restricts breathing. Your lungs can collapse. And the drug works so fast, it can kill you within seconds.
Usually the effects of cocaine or crack are so short that by the time they realize they're in trouble and get in here, either the effects have worn off or they're dead.
Even if you've smoked crack 1,000 times before, doctors say you've been playing Russian roulette. Now, it's impossible to tell you how many Columbus people have died from crack so far, but I can tell you, in the first half of '88, 8 people suffered cocaine-related deaths. 6 of those people murdered. This brings up another danger, crack and crime. Crime comes into play when a person runs out of crack and desperately wants it. Take it from a convicted felon.
It causes you to hurt people when you really don't want to. You can stay up all night long trying to get money for it. You don't care about anyone else. Only thing you want to do is just get the money and get the cocaine.
His crack habit costing him $200 a day. His job at the time, stealing. This guy was caught with a large amount of cocaine on its way to being cooked into crack, an addict himself.
You will continue using it until you have no resources left. And you'll smoke until there's nothing left to smoke. You smoke, there's no more money.
Can't nobody smoke that. Nobody.
And this felon sold the drug to help pay for his habit.
No one can smoke that cocaine and manage. No one.
Now he's doing 4 to 20 years at Orient Correctional Institution in Orient, Ohio. More than 80% of inmates in Ohio's prisons are there because of drug-related crimes. More now because of crack. And if you assume all will recover there because you can't get drugs in prison, assume again.
Now, these razor-like wires are keeping the inmates from getting out, but they're not stopping the drugs from getting in.
Cocaine is one of those drugs. This inmate tells me it's very easy to smuggle it in. And when asked if the men are finding ways to cook it into crack, here's his answer.
Yes.
Okay. This makes drug rehab inside prison even harder. Now, it's not mandatory for inmates, but many go through it to look better in front of the parole board.
Yes, of course, that was in the back of my head. And originally, I just wanted to get into the program, suffer through it and make it look good.
But he did end up graduating, as they call it, from prison drug rehab, along with these other men. This inmate did too, but says he's very scared about what will happen when he gets out.
I really can't say deep down inside that I'm not going to go back out there and mess with it, but I can say that I'm going to try my best.
Now, only about 20% of the men in drug rehab at Orient actually recover from their addictions. This man so far hasn't recovered, but he realizes one thing.
So if I go out and I use again, I might as well just take the gun and shoot myself, because that's the road that I'm headed up anyway.
And if he ends up like 32% of other inmates around the country, he'll be back in prison. Crack and crime, all causing our crime rate to go up. In fact, Franklin County's is soaring to a possible all-time high. Well, what about crack and violence? Users and dealers becoming violent with each other when a transaction doesn't go smoothly. I'm told that dealers ripping users off is an ongoing problem here. This is what one guy says about that.
That's all they know how to do, is work the streets and to rip off people, so that they are experts at it.
They'll sell soap, white aquarium rocks, pieces of plaster, anything. And with that comes violence, because every once in a while you can have somebody come back wanting his money back. I mean, $50 for a white aquarium rock isn't going to make somebody real happy when he puts it in his pipe.
Made me feel like I wanted to commit homicide, wanted to kill someone.
When you're selling crack, tell me the rules of the game out here on the street.
Watch your back. If you sit back and you smoking somebody's money, then you're gonna get hurt.
But others get hurt too.
They can get mad at each other and just take revenge on each other. And they don't know they're hurting the innocent person live next to them.
But it's sad that you can't live in your own house in peace now, and you sure can't, not here, not now.
These women live in definite crack areas, according to the police, and it's people like them who could end up being held hostage in their own homes, held by dealers doing business there. This, by the way, is already happening in larger cities. And officials here say the potential for more danger in Columbus is growing, with an increase in people becoming addicted to crack.
What does it feel like, Norm? What's what feel like? All this stuff that's going on? I don't want to be here, man. My PO says I got to go to this shit.
None of us want to be here.
All right?
I want to be here.
I can take care of my habits. Okay? I have no problem with it. That wasn't what I got busted for anyway.
Group therapy for addicts. Listen to this.
You don't know anything about me. You don't know anything about what it's like to smoke crack. You don't know.
Explain it to us.
No, you have to do it. You have to go through it yourself. That's the only way I understand it.
Columbus drug treatment centers are seeing more crack addicts, but experts say there are far more sick people out there than are able to get help.
The worst part of my job is that I have to turn away 3 or 4 people a day that need help because they don't have the resources to get it. And that goes on in every treatment center in this country.
And that's because of cut funding and limited coverage by Medicaid. Not a bright situation for addicts who want help but can't afford it. Now, you may be wondering how someone could get so addicted to crack anyway.
Unbelievable high. Unbelievable high. I could take a hit off the pipe sitting down, and then I'd have to get up and move because everything in my body was just going at 100 miles an hour.
At first it was like a miracle drug. It was like complete release. It was sexual gratification. It was something to help forget about negative aspects of life.
But all are quick to remember how this drug really affected them in the end. Perhaps this gentleman says it best.
One that hasn't done it, don't do it. And if you are doing it, quit fast, because it's going to destroy you. You're going to either die, or you're coming to jail, or you're going to be miserable your whole life through.
You know, it took a lot of courage for those people to talk to me about their crack addictions. It's not an easy thing. After doing so many interviews with all types of people out there, I'm convinced of the danger of this drug even more. But I think I'm beginning to see how people can fall into its trap. One guy told me a crack high is like going from 0 to 100 in a matter of seconds, if you can imagine getting high so quickly. That gentleman, by the way, will join me in the studio in just a minute, along with another recovering crack addict and someone who helps people recover. Get your questions ready for him. I'll be taking more calls. Stay right there. Welcome back. We're going to talk to some recovering crack addicts and a person who helps people recover. I said before that a man described getting high on crack as going from 0 to 100 in a matter of seconds. I have that gentleman with me. Clifton Duxton, you're a recovering crack addict.
Yes.
You told me earlier an ex-drug dealer, ex-pimp.
Yeah.
Been through a lot. I also have Sue, or I'm calling this woman Sue, next to Clifton, I'm sorry, and Sue has her back to the audience because she wants to remain anonymous, and that's perfectly fine and understandable. I also have Tom Donahue, a chemical dependency expert, who can answer questions on how you can become so addicted to this drug. Clifton, first tell me a matter of seconds you can get so high.
From the time you inhale it, I would guess about 5 to 10 seconds. You go from, for me, it felt like going from 0 to 100.
It hits your body and it just makes you feel like moving and...
Well, you start to sweat. You want to get up and walk around. Makes your heart beat intensely. After that, it's just like floating on cloud 9.
Now, Sue, you told me that initially you didn't want to get hooked on a drug. Who does? But you never thought that crack would do this to you, did you?
No, I didn't.
You didn't want to use a needle drug because you always heard heroin is so addictive, but crack.
I just figured it would be like anything else, you know, I could take it or leave it, do it occasionally, socially, and that would be it, but it wasn't the case.
Tom, a lot of people think that, and you were telling me earlier that smoking crack 1 or 2 times, you can become addictive. It's a mental thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's mental and I believe also physical. I have yet to see anybody do crack 2 or 3 times who is not addicted, who is not going out to get more money. Crack user goes out and buys $50 worth of crack, goes back and uses it. They've got $100 more to back out a crack house. They get $50 more, they come back over, use it, and say, that's all I'm going to use. They back out with the other 50. And because the high is so high, the low that they come down in 10 or 15 minutes is so low, the depression is so great that they want to or need to get high again. And that does lead to violent crimes. It leads to other problems.
Clifton, is this how you felt? You smoked crack, you got high, you came down, you wanted more.
I had to have it. When you come down, you just, however amount of money you have, you'll spend it. If it's bill money, rent money, kids' money, your mama's money, daddy's money, makes no difference.
How much were you spending a day?
Oh, about $500.
Sue, how about you? I know you said earlier 100. Sometimes you would spend $500 a day.
That's right. You know, it's hard to, you know, look back and see exactly how much I spent. It varied, you know, but I would go thinking sometimes I'd only spend 50 and I'd spend, like Cliff said, whatever I had, I'd keep going back.
How did it feel when you were out of money and you were out of crack?
Depressed, very depressing. Feel irritable, you know, sometimes even, you know, it's like thought about suicide before, you know. It's just, it's bad.
Is it making a lot of people suicidal, Tom?
The depression causes a great deal of suicidal tendencies and ideation. And people think I can't get this again, and there's no help for me. Then you may have a higher rate of suicides. We know that people that are successful at suicides, probably 80% of them have alcohol or other drugs in their system at the time.
Let's go right to the phones. You're on the air. May I help you?
Yeah, Clifton and Sue, what went through your minds if you've ever gotten busted?
Good question, caller. Thank you. Have you ever been busted, first of all?
No.
No.
Not for a drug-related crime. I've had some domestic problems, but never for a drug-related crime.
Okay, a lot of people, though, who have smoked crack, have gotten addicted, end up in jail. We just heard from some convicted felons. I've heard it makes you feel like you would do anything to get a hold of it. Sue, did it make you feel that way?
Well, I wasn't to the point where I had to do anything. I mean, I usually had the money, and then when I run out, I would stop there. I can't say that I didn't have other thoughts of thinking of how I was going to get more money, but I ended up not doing the things I was thinking about. I didn't go that far.
I know, Clifton, you said you borrowed from friends, you lost your friends.
Yeah. After a while, folks get tired of supporting you. You tell different lies. You come up with different schemes. And after a while, even your friends turn their back on you.
It changes you, and your friends don't want you anymore.
Yeah, it changes you. It also changes them, too, because they can't trust you anymore. And it just gives them a different outlook on you as a person.
Let's go to the phones. You're on the air, caller.
Yes, I was wondering how long after you're off crack will you have side effects? Can they be permanent, or are they just, after the chemical's out of you, do they subside?
Thank you, caller. Recovery, Tom.
Yeah, I would think that may have to do with how long and how much crack you used as far as physical effects go. But usually in a treatment center, people coming down from crack, in 7 to 10 days, we see a great deal of anxiety, a great deal of impatience, a great deal of sleepless nights, gastritis, pains, and things like that, and they're up and they're walking around. They need a lot of help, need a lot of attention while they're in treatment. And if the depression lasts longer than the 10 to 12 days, then we need to have them evaluated for severe depression.
And relapse is how you told me that. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Yes, I'm a recovering addict myself, and I'm 18 years old. And I just want to let the youth out there know that I started when I was 15, and I've been clean now for 3 years. I just want the youth out there to let them know that they have a chance. Thank you.
Keep it up. Keep it up. Thank you for calling. You've been clean, Clifton, for 2 years, is that right?
2 years and 3 months.
And Sue, you've been clean for 14 months, you said?
14 months tomorrow.
It's a good record. It's a good record. Now, I know relapse is high. If you had to go back to a drug, would that be your drug of choice, crack, Clifton?
Hopefully, no. I was sharing this with somebody else the other day. I'd rather drink than use crack.
It got you down and depressed, and it hurt you.
It's just easy to buy alcohol than to deal with crack.
Yeah, okay. We're going to have more questions for you in just a second. And I know you out there have a lot more questions for my guest tonight. They'll be ready to answer your calls right after this. We'll be right back. We're talking to two recovering crack addicts tonight and an expert in chemical dependency. We were talking earlier about this drug being the drug of choice. So you were telling me earlier that you don't want to go back to drugs, but this was better than what you had experienced, but it was so bad.
Yeah. What is your question?
Well, what I'm saying is you said that this would be your drug of choice if you had to go back to a drug, but I want to stress that to the people out there that even if it seems so good and the high is so good, what did it do to your life?
Well, you know, everything else becomes unimportant. You know, it's like my job became unimportant, my friends became unimportant, my family became unimportant, my health, I didn't really care what I looked like, you know, nothing else mattered. But, you know, I hope to God I never go back, but for me, there's no happy medium. You know, it's either all or nothing. If I can't, you know, socially use alcohol or any other drugs, and I figure if I ever go back out, that I'll be using cocaine again.
We'll go right to the phones. You're on the air.
Yes, my question is about the very young children that are addicted to the drug. What can be done for them if there's nothing being done? And if there is, what's being done?
Thank you, caller. Young kids, we know kids as young as 10 are trying crack, Tom.
Part of the problem is we still have community denial and country denial about how bad this problem, alcohol and crack, is in this country. We were talking earlier, and I said where a narcotics detective had busted 3 young people, had them at a judge's office in one of our surrounding communities, and went to the school and said to the principal, I think we ought to do some education here and bring somebody in to talk to the kids about drugs and crack. And the principal said, I don't have a problem. And the detective said, we've got 3 of your 5th graders downtown with possession of crack and pipes. And the principal still said, we don't have a problem.
Unfortunately, kids aren't coming out and saying, I have a crack problem.
No.
They don't know they do. And a lot of them are getting busted. They're ending up in rehab because of that.
Yeah. And for 10-year-olds, there's very little rehab. Because they just can't keep up with what the recovery process would be in a sense of trying to teach them. But the damage and the danger of a 10-year-old doing crack, even a 15-year-old, but to deny that this is happening is a problem. And that's a serious problem.
We're going to go back to the phones. You're on the air, caller.
Yes, I am a single woman, and I have 3 young children. And there are men who sell crack in front of my house almost every day, or some type of drug. I'm wondering what could I do about it, because it's kind of scary. It's right out in my front yard.
Thank you, caller. I suggest that you first call the crack hotline, and that number will be given to you again at the end of the show if you have any suspicions of anybody selling crack. Clifton, for the people out there who want to help younger people, who know that younger people are on crack?
First, you have to re-educate younger people. I found that most younger people don't feel like they have a problem with drugs. Being that they're young and they're physically fit and they're stronger, they don't think they really have a problem. And in today's society, we tend to look more at an adult with a drug problem than a kid with a drug problem. Everybody says, that can't be my son, that's not my daughter, she would never do that. You know, we have to wake up the parents and let the parents know that, yeah, your son and your daughter are capable of using crack.
What are some symptoms that these kids might have, Tom, or anyone out there?
Some of the symptoms that the kids will show probably will be changing of friends, maybe a lack of personal hygiene, maybe becoming extremely irritable at home, especially when they don't have the drugs. They will become irritable at home. They may even become verbally abusive to their parents. They may become physically abusive. One kid at the age of 17 beat his mother to death to get $25 worth of crack. That type of thing happens. It doesn't happen as often, but it happens, and the verbal and physical abuse that children are presenting to their parents, those are symptoms of a failing in school, being irritable, being truant from school. Those are symptoms of a drinking or drug problem, crack problem. And people need to identify that, because they're saying, well, it's a behavioral problem, it's an emotional problem, or it's a drug problem. If it's a drug problem, it'll cause a behavioral problem, it'll cause the emotional problem. If it's a crack problem, it's going to cause a lot of behavioral problems.
Quickly, Clifton, advice to people out there who are in your situation when you were using crack.
The first thing you can do is call the crack hotline, seek some type of treatment, and there's a lot of support groups around the city which people can become involved in. One thing I would think is they should change their people that they hang out with, the places that they hang out with, and become more involved in other activities.
Sue, quickly advice for those people out there who may think, I'm not going to get hooked on crack. What's crack?
My advice is not to even try it, and if you are hooked, go to a treatment center.
And get some help. Don't deny it. Wake up. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate your help tonight. I can't end the show without telling you this. Whenever a reporter sets out to investigate any issue, any problem he or she runs into, so many people who are deeply involved in whatever subject being discussed. When I first started working on this show, I ran into a guy who at one time had a good life, a nice job, a family, money, self-respect. After becoming involved with crack, he lost all of that. His job, his money, he went to jail. Now he's going through a divorce. He called me last week at the end of his rope. I felt like he had lost that last bit of self-respect that I know he was hanging on to. That is crack, ladies and gentlemen. He called me at the station a few days ago and says he's doing better. He's going to try to get help, try to make it. And if he's watching tonight, like he said he would, let me say this to my friend, you are not alone. There are people who care, but you have to care about yourself, first of all, and about getting well. Please take down this number for me. And this is for anyone out there who wants help from his or her crack addiction. Please call the Hope Hotline. People are there standing by to take your calls. That number is 228-4673. That number again, 228-4673. You may remain anonymous. And another number for you, if you have any information about a crack house or people you think might be involved, call the crack hotline, 222-4850. You can remain anonymous. I want to thank all of my guests for being here tonight. A special thanks to Sergeant Mike Manley with the Columbus Narcotics Bureau for being so helpful in this investigation, and to all the officers and sergeants making Columbus SWAT one of the best in the country. Good work, guys. And thank you so much for watching. This is our city. It's our lives. Let's not let a piece of crack catch us between a rock and a hard place. Good night.
Crack and cocaine is the same thing. Some people use it just to take their life down the drain. You gotta lose it. You can't just abuse it. And next thing you know, your mind, you will be losing. After all this, you know you get shot in your back for trying to rob or get just still for crack. And after all this, you take all the peace and all the crack, you know it. It put you to sleep. It will put you 6 feet under that you never forget. And after that, they will be crying that the crack just did. And every time that you use it, you know you will lose it. Your mind will be abusing and your arms just choosing. Shooting up the drugs ain't nothing but a thing. But I'ma tell you, party people, that is just a shame. Shame you got to use drugs. You never use crack. I'm telling you like this, get off and get back.